Hello, friends. David Vos here. Well, it's a beautiful day in Alabama. I mean, the sun's out and been out for a couple of days. It was like 83 degrees yesterday. And I hope you're having a wonderful day where you are. Well, I took a little look on my Facebook feed or something was going on there and see these comments, and they were like, well, it's terrible what's going on over there in Russia. It's worse than Germany and Nazi Germany. They're just mass murdering everybody over there and everything. And, I understand that people don't know. And so if they don't know, they're going to react. I mean, can you blame people for turning on the television every day and hearing stuff and then going to work and people talking because they heard stuff? Of course, we're all hearing the same stuff. Oh, everybody's bad, but the United States government's trying to protect us. Oh, they've been protecting us for so long. We've had all these terrible wars, It was the Iraqi people's fault, They're bad people, and all those darn Japanese, we had to drop a bomb on them, and over there in Vietnam, don't forget Hong Kong and Korea, right? I keep saying North Korea's flag is red, white, and blue. If you notice, there's a whole, out of all the, about 200 different countries, about half of them have red, white, and blue. And the other ones seem to have some sort of communist colors, Seems like the world is split down the middle between these two groups. But what's really interesting is that in World War I, it seems that this little group of individuals that took over Russia in the Bolshevik Revolution just happened to take over Germany at the same time. And they orchestrated, by financing all sides, they orchestrated this huge event called World War I. I mean, they got the whole world all serious about it. They're all sitting around a table discussing all this stuff and politics and, we got to have a war. And all the people at home are G.I. Joes and G.I. Janes, and they're all patriots, and they're all going to the war. And not one of them then figured it out. After, 100 years, we still haven't figured it out. They were moving the world down a certain pathway. Got to have World War I in Europe to take out the power of the people of Europe. Because they had, Germany at that time was like the United States was for a while. All the fads were coming out of that area. They were doing the Charleston and having all this dress, and the way, the way the Germans dressed, that's the way everybody dressed. This was the place where all the rationalism was coming out of, Wilhelm Institute, right? Einstein was in the Wilhelm Institute. Well, after World War II, we brought them all over here. Set up shop in Washington, D.C. Project Paperclip. But you see, this was going on, and the whole world just sucked it right down, hook, line, and sinker. And then when they got caught and took them up on shore and took the knife and gutted them, they were like, thank you. Oh, it's so wonderful. This is the way we've been gutted now. We're in the frying pan, and there's no way out at this point because people's minds have been taken. So I'm looking at this, and these people are saying, this is terrible what Russia's doing. I'm thinking, do you not, I understand that you would begin to believe everybody around you. Because that's what we do. We people are, your mom, your dad, they believe in stuff. But just one of them that you wouldn't necessarily, because if you're just your mom telling you to be good, and everybody at school said your mom was bad because, hey, my mom lets me do bad things, right? Well, how come your mom don't let you do bad things? So all of a sudden you might start hating your mom because the school board, all your friends, even your church is on, your side, not your mom's, right? So you start thinking something's wrong with mom. Okay, I get that. But what if everybody was telling you The same thing. Your mom, everyone was telling you, oh, girls are sometimes really boys. We should have an operation and whack that thing off. Well, there's only 5 years old, right? I just saw an interview with a young woman on Tucker Carlson that she had been told when she was very young in school, and she was saying, this is being pushed in school. You come home and you start thinking, Mom, I'm not sure if I want to wear a blue shirt. Oh, you're a girl. You can't wear a blue shirt. Maybe you're having identity crisis. Maybe you're really a lesbian. Oh, wait a minute, but I'm a boy. How can I be a lesbian? Well, you like girls, don't you? Yeah, but I'm a boy. Oh, no, but you must be just sort of mixed up in your head. So let's do some operations and some, testosterone treatments and stuff. And this went on. This poor young child was totally convinced that somehow or another she had some identity crisis and she needed to be transgender. And thank goodness before she got the operations and all the irreversible stuff, she realized, what are they doing to me? This child figured it out. Her parents were going along with it because the school was going to take her away if they didn't, because it was wrong. Why, you can't be, that's child abuse, right? Not to allow your child to become a woman if they were born a boy. But most of these little children don't know what they want. They're being told what they want by the teachers and the kids. The problem is the people at home, the parents. How could they get to the place where they don't fight back? They just accept it. And I'll tell you why, because of all the intimidation. I mean, it is so bad. You could lose your kid, lose your money, lose your job. I mean, they can take you to court. All of a sudden, somebody in the family's against you, and then they're testifying against you. Like this trial with Johnny Depp. You want to know something about that? Have you noticed that Johnny Depp was a huge star, and then all of a sudden he was not in the news for a while, and he was, he was in the Inquirer a little bit there, and they were like making fun of him because he was drunk, and you had an argument, and boy, he looks bad, looking old there, and just people making fun of him. And I started thinking, man, what happened to Johnny Depp, right? Because he sounds like he's gone over the hill. And for like months and months and months, all we hear is how stupid and ignorant Johnny Depp is. He looks like he's on crack and he's on his deathbed and all this stuff. Well, now it turns out he was fighting for his life. This woman, Amber, what's her name? Amber Heard or something? Well, she's one of these family members from Bavaria. They all are. And she's lesbian, of course. And her best friend's another outspoken, reminder, this individual that is also from this same area, and they're having a relationship now. Maybe they had a little tryst or a little three-way, So what they did was these individuals that run Hollywood, they get all the important, powerful positions. And the other important, powerful people in the industry, they go along with it. They like set up sex trysts and orgies and things like this. So you come into Hollywood, you have to play with this. You have to play under their rules, and you have to sleep with several people. They probably won't even give you a job unless you're bi. I'm telling you, nobody's going to get anywhere in Hollywood unless you're bi. And you're willing to do some things. And then they've got footage of you on camera doing those things. You're passed out on drugs. They can put it on the Inquirer every time they don't like you. So, you see, Johnny Depp was this good-looking guy, and everybody just loved him. And so this young, girl from Bavaria, she's like, I want to be married to Johnny Depp and get some publicity, because everybody loves Depp. So she kind of starts flirting with him. And maybe she lured him in by saying, hey, I'm bi. And he's like, oh, good. I want to have some of that, right? So they lured him in. And then they had pictures, and he was thinking, oh, they got me. It's like blackmail. So he couldn't, they made sure he didn't have any movies there for a while. Kept losing all of his movie deals while she's getting bigger and bigger star. She's like this Weinstein guy. They're manipulating people, and it's working until it doesn't work anymore. And finally, somebody somehow takes him to court, like Johnny Depp. And then it comes out in the court that this woman's frauding the court. lying to the court, and all of her entourage and her little lesbian lover that's in the same family, they're all lying and trying to destroy Depp. Because why? Maybe he decided he didn't want any more drugs. Maybe he thought, oh, they're just using me. Oh, this woman doesn't even love me. She's really just trying to get a name for herself because she's with Johnny Depp. And so then he's like, no, I don't think so. I'm going to move on. And you're not going to leave me. You're not going to make me look like the bad guy. So she starts lying to her friends. And of course, they're all friends in Hollywood. So they accept it. Get rid of Johnny Depp. Because our people say he's bad. So he can't have any more movies. You remember Mel Gibson? He said something about these people and he was gone. So, I think what happens is that it started coming out in court. And now all of a sudden, like Elon Musk, remember he went to the Orthodox school as a child. His dad's from Bavaria. All of a sudden, people start coming out of the woodwork saying, oh, no, she's bad. She's a liar. Well, they didn't say anything before. See, they don't want to be seen as her friend now because the whole world has watched this. And Johnny Depp's got this disposition. He's like, well, he's kind of funny. He's personable. And he tells a story. And it comes out in court that he was really the one being abused. I mean, how is this little woman going to abuse this man? Well, by threatening him, blackmail. She's got all the people in Hollywood behind her. Look, I don't even know. Maybe Johnny Depp's involved with it too. But all of these people, they try to hide everything until somehow it gets out in court, like Weinstein. And then they're like, oh, we're distancing ourselves. So now Musk is distancing. Because I guess Musk had an affair with this girl too. Yeah, and now it turns out several women had affairs with her. And all the movie stars, the guy in the Titanic, what was his name? The star in Titanic. That all the girls, the heartthrobs, they all had an affair with this girl. Well, who is this girl? Well, maybe she's the one you got to have an affair with to get a movie deal, okay? And then when Johnny Depp's like, okay, I got my movie deal and everything, and we did our three-way and everything, can I go now? And they're like, no, now we own you. So he took him to court and he's winning. And so all the people around are going, okay, this is not what we signed up for. So, we're going to throw her overboard. Scapegoat. This is how they work. Now, in the end, she'll go to court and get slapped on the hand and, she'll probably get more famous after this. I mean, look what they did to Kanye West. This little guy that stole his woman. Okay, look, I'm sorry, but this Kardashian woman, she's literally mindless. She doesn't even know that she's a beautiful woman without having to defigure herself. She's following all the fads and pretending that it's wonderful if you just do everything, that the government says and just be very liberal and be bow down to your masters, in Hollywood and they'll give you all this money and gold and she's going to be like an Uncle Tom and tell everybody to just go ahead and join the government. And so they need these individuals in place, right? Well, Kanye West wasn't really playing along, was he? Oh, he was a Christian. He believed in Jesus. Oh, we can't have that. Okay, no, we got to be atheists. And he was selling millions of albums, and they did this to the comedian. The pudding pop and the pudding and the pudding pop and what was this guy? Oh my goodness, I can't even remember. The black guy that was supposedly slept with all the girls and drugged them and then went to prison. I guess he got out recently or something. But comedian guy, years and years, older guy. I just can't think of his name right now. But anyway, the pudding pop. He was doing the commercial for Jell-O, remember? Unbelievable, I don't remember his name. But anyway, they did the same. They railroaded him. He had so much money because he had these TV series and movies and all these cartoons on, and he was helping black families have respect for themselves and not put up with any crap. And he had a lot of money. and I guess there was some sort of thing in the news that he was about to buy NBC. He was just going to buy it. Well, then he would be putting programs on television to be helpful to his people and, show the African American community, good morals and values on television, which they had never been allowed to do, right? So they put him away. They had people come forward to accuse him, and he's gone, right? Now, with Weinstein, he just got caught. But these other individuals get thrown to the dogs, and you know who they are. They're the ones that aren't for all this ignoramus stuff. And I'm thinking Johnny Depp and Mel Gibson's kind of part of that crew. They kind of just threw him overboard. But it's definitely a system where if you believe everything that's going on and you're not watching carefully, you won't realize that they're all in, it's like some sort of organized crime, Hollywood. They do whatever they can get away with. I saw this when I went to Las Vegas and I went to work, and the guy that ran the whole Las Vegas convention, he was a gay man, and he would throw big parties and have these huge, he'd spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on these big parties. They have these big orgies. And because he would do that, they kept putting him higher and higher and higher and higher. See, he was kissing the ring on the hand of the emperor, and they were like the jester that kept moving up in the court. They kept giving they give these individuals more and more power. But it's all based on how much pleasure, like Epstein, how much pleasure can you give all the important kings and emperors around the world? If you can give them something that they enjoy, they'll give you a position in their kingdom. Up to half the kingdom, John the Baptist was told, right? Or no, John the Baptist, the woman that wanted his head, right? Herod offered her half the kingdom, and she chooses John the Baptist's head. This is what they've been doing for a long, long time. We thought this was just some story in the Bible. It's real. They've been jesters in the court for a long time until they took over the court. And now they run the court. And so they make all the positions of power and authority. And they ridicule. And in court, they run the lawyers and the judges. And anybody who's really innocent or a good person, just trying to make it in this world, they'll take your children, they'll ruin you, they'll destroy you, and the rest of the United States is still believing it. Well, they didn't come for my children yet, so you should obey the government, right? They're always right, and the lawyers are just trying to do their job, and the social services got to take your children because you're no good, and we got to give them to the satanic covens to raise our children now. So this is going on everywhere, and I can't believe that people believe it. But like I said, it'd be one thing if everybody around you was believing it, and I could understand that you'd start believing it too, because this is the way Jehovah's Witnesses work. It's like intimidation, do what you're told. All your family's doing it, everybody's doing it, the elders are doing it, and they're so respectable. It's lies. They're taught to put on this persona, put your jacket on, and your suit jacket, and your tie, and nice white collar, and the elders have to be respectable. And at the meetings, when there's a question being answered, it's an answer and question and answer, meeting, right? And so the elders have to raise their hand when nobody else in the congregation knows the answer and give some eloquent answer. And so, because I'm an elder, and everybody's like, oh, wow. This is the atmosphere. What I experience as Jehovah's Witness is exactly the atmosphere that's going on in America right now. Everybody's like, oh, an elder speaking, right? Hollywood member. The television, the news is on. We got to believe it. Well, we've heard the stories, right? That maybe they're just false prophets. They've been telling us the world was coming to an end over and over. It never did. They were talking about the New World Order, and they changed the Bible, and they got no leg to stand on with their views on Jesus being God or blood transfusions or saluting the flag, whatever it is. It convinced the whole world just by intimidation and lawyers. You know, they used to brag, Jehovah's Witnesses, that they were bigger than the ACLU. You didn't mess with them. They'd take you to court, right? And they'd always win because it's like, how do they always win? Because it's an organization financed by the Rockefellers and they always win, okay? And you always lose. And you idiots are just believing it. You're like, well, of course Jehovah's Witnesses are right. They have every right to disfellowship people. I just saw a little clip. And it was a little boy about 10 years old or 15 or something. And they were baptizing him. And the caption was, this is what the Jehovah's Witnesses do. They baptize children at 13 or 12 or 11 or something. And that kid doesn't really know what he's doing because he's making an agreement to obey the organization till he dies. And if he doesn't obey in every detail, they can take away his family, shun him, he'll lose his job because they're the CEOs and managers of all the big companies. You will never get another job. You're boycott. That's what they did to me. They know who I am. They know my name because they have records. And the Jehovah's Witnesses share their records with other industries or groups that are running the business or anything. They've got your name now. See, they put it in the database. You know, they know who you are. I am very famous amongst Jehovah's Witnesses because I teach against them. So I couldn't get a job. I wouldn't be able to do anything because they've got me marked. And that's actually something that they admit to doing. Amongst Jehovah's Witnesses, they do mark individuals, meaning once you're marked, you don't get a job. They would just as soon kill you, but they don't have the legal right to do that. But I think if you keep talking too much, you end up dying anyway. I know a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses that did die. Michael Jackson was one of them. He started talking. Prince. Remember Glenn Campbell? He started studying with Jehovah's Witnesses because there's a bunch of them back there at Hollywood. They run behind the scenes. They run a lot of stuff at Hollywood. Glenn Campbell started studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, right? That's when they took his career out because he didn't like Jehovah's Witnesses. He said, no, thank you. And they're like, and then they start talking about him and, well, this isn't true and I don't agree with this. Oh, you don't like us, huh? They took his career. They took his television program down. They started harassing him so much that he started drinking, and then they take pictures of him being drunk and put it all over the Inquirer. It ruined Glenn Campbell's career. Well, of course, after he died, then they, made him a star again, just like they did Michael Jackson, because then they can make an icon. Everybody gets down and worships him because they got to take him out before they say anything too damaging. They still want them because they're making money off of Glenn Campbell and Michael Jackson, so they don't want to completely ruin them. So they just get rid of him. But the world never realizes what's going on. It's just like Charles Manson. They blame all of this evil stuff on this crazy man, this homeless man. They try to make us believe this homeless man, this little short homeless guy has been in prison all his life, knows how to play the guitar a little bit, right? Somehow this guy is responsible for all these young women just, we love him. And they worship him and they run around doing murders for him. Charles Manson stayed at the home with the Beach Boys. They were the ones with the groupies, all the young women. They were worshiping the Beach Boys and they were trying to get into the Beach Boys. They didn't care much about Charles Manson. And there was a satanic cult. One of the Alskis was running the situation. They're the ones that brought the Mamas and the Papas and the Beach Boys and the Beatles and all these groups. And they were making billions of dollars. It's the family, right? It's John Gotti and the Hollywood family. Only this isn't John Gotti like in New York, but they got another guy over there in Los Angeles. They got them all over the place. Like Hillary Clinton's dad was head of Chicago, mob boss, right? And they run from there down all the corporations, the companies, the people, the streets, the police. There's a little secret society running the police as well. They do shaking hands and steal all your pot and your drugs, and they use them, right? And they probably sell them, make lots of money, buy nice cars. The police are corrupt as hell. Politicians are as corrupt as hell. The movie stars are all Why do we worship these movie stars when we don't realize that they're brainwashing our children? So like I say, I can understand people start believing because everybody believes in it. But what gets me is after you sit there for a while as a young person, you start listening and you see the elders raising their hand, getting all the attention and all the, subconsciously, I think you begin to see the real truth. You can see beyond the veil. You begin to realize what is going on. But consciously, you're still not allowed to say anything because then you won't get your rewards and you won't get liked and you might get disfellowship and there's intimidation. So you're like, your subconscious mind's starting to doubt. This is what causes a lot of depression. You don't know why, but you just don't feel right. Maybe you go to the elders with a couple of questions and they strike it down right there. You keep on with that and you're out of here. Okay, I won't ask any more questions. So then it never gets resolved. You feel like there's something wrong with you. It's not you, it's them. Same with this world. You watching television and you're watching this whole Johnny Depp thing and you don't see what's going on. This same woman has an affair with the richest man in the world, Johnny Depp. Some other girl that's some activist, Bavarian activist in Hollywood. I mean, it's like all these movie stars coming out of the woodwork. This other blonde woman that does big movies was married to Tom Cruise for a while. Remember, Tom Cruise is in the Scientology, It's an evil organization. All these evil organizations run everything, and they're all interconnected. Each organization has a different forte that they cover. But they're all working for the same umbrella organization that runs everything. This elite family that started back with Nathan Rothschild, and he ended up having all these children with Queen Victoria and got them into Parliament, changed the laws, and then put into place. That's when they took over Germany and Russia and the United States. They took over the United States a little bit different than they did Russia. They did that with a revolution and war. In America, they did it with a revolution of the mind. They took over Hollywood. They started making movies. A while back, when Hollywood first came out, everybody knew that it was run by communists. We didn't say the other word. We just say they were all communists. And it was a big deal. There was things in Congress going on. There was meetings and hearings about this communist problem. And they ended up making a deal to get rid of all the communists. They made that deal because they knew that it was out in the open and everybody knew now. So they're going to say, oh yeah, we're distancing ourselves from that. But the same people were still in charge. They just didn't call themselves communists anymore. Called themselves socialists. So we never win. We never get anything done because they run Congress. They buy and pay for the senators. All of them are bought and paid for. Everyone that runs for president, you get two choices, the Democrat or the Republican. And both sides are run by the same socialist elite group of Rothschild bankers. So that's why they are called presidents. They're not prime ministers ministering for Her Majesty, but they're presidents of a large corporation. So these countries that have presidents have these mega corporations that work together with the other corporations. So the Communist Corporation and if communism wasn't allowed, if they weren't running both sides, then the world wouldn't be right down the middle, communism and capitalism. Somebody would have won by now, but nobody's ever going to win because they keep it that way in a stalemate. So that we're always arguing, and we have, on this side, we can build up arms. They can get more money out of us, pay more taxes. We need more weapons because the other side. But the other side's doing the same thing against us. So both sides building all this military. In our mind, there's not really any military probably. It's probably a few $1 million worth of military or $1 billion. But we've got trillions of dollars going in there. And it's going into these people's pockets. We don't have any. One of the biggest problems with the United States or any modern government today is that the people do not know. They can't look at the books. They can't be audited. The Federal Reserve is not audited. You can't know where they're spending all this money. You don't know if they're doing it for our interests or not. They're foreign. They're not from America. The people that run the Federal Reserve are not Americans. They're foreigners. And they run the government. They're not voted in. They're appointed by these individuals that again, aren't voted in. The presidents are never voted in. They're simply, they appear. Donald Trump just appeared coming down the escalator, right? They knew it was going to happen before it happened. There's even a book back in 1800 about Donald Trump and his Fifth Avenue castle, right? And how he's going to be the last president. They've got all this planned out. Everything right down to the storyline, right? It's all a movie. And this is one of the reasons they got Hollywood. Hollywood isn't just entertainment. They have to make it entertaining, but it's propaganda, and they're telling us what they're doing. And I'm telling you what, I just got through watching. I'm into the 6th season now. There's only 7 seasons of this 100. I had to quit for a while because I lost streaming on my, I only had 40 gigs and I couldn't watch after a certain point. But somehow or another it came back on now, and I'm watching it. And they get to this, they end up having, they did completely destroy the planet Earth. It's destroyed. It's gone. I mean, they waited up in space in a ship for 130 years or something like that, or 25 years. And it was gone. They couldn't go back. So they set a course. They found this other planet. I don't know where, And they call it Alpha or something. And get there, and it turns out it's just a moon, right? It's the most beautiful place, right? They go in there. There's nobody there. There's this big castle, but there's nobody there. And like, what's going on, Well, there was an eclipse going on at that moment. A couple days of this eclipse. And during this time, all the animals go crazy, and the people go crazy, and they're trying to kill each other. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen in your life. Somehow they get through it, and then all of a sudden, because when they got to this castle, there was these chains with these, shackles. And I'm like, what is this for? Well, it was because when this time comes, when the sun is eclipsed, everybody goes crazy and they try to kill each other. So they had to tie themselves down with chains so they couldn't kill each other. So that somehow or another they figured this out. The crew, the 100, when they got there, they figured this out by looking around, and they're like, oh man, this is coming. Because it started happening to one of their people already. So they tied themselves down, locked themselves down. They didn't kill each other, but they tried to. It was really bad. But what I'm trying to get at is that when this is all over, here comes these children up over the hill and their leader. And the leader has got the symbol of the metaverse, right? Worker burger, metaverse. And as we've seen throughout the movie, he's the one that created this whole thing. So now he is worshipped as the divine God, right? Because you say his name and you have to say, kind of like with the Muslims when they say Muhammad and they say blessed be he or something. Jews do this as well. So after you say the man's name, you have to say blessed be he or something, because you have to bow before him, because he's now God, because he saved the world. He took a little group of people to this other planet. Well, when you look at this guy, you get a very striking impression that it's Zuckerberg worker. It's a guy he's a little bit older, but it looks like him a lot. And, they might try to spin it in the movie. I haven't watched the next 2 seasons. They might try and say somehow he's a good guy, or he did it, he's just trying to save the world, But yeah, I don't think it's necessary for him to have people worship him and all of this stuff. So already I can see that it's a bunch of propaganda. But it's odd that this entire movie, this Hollywood movie, has been presenting that the world's coming to an end because Zuckerberg killed and destroyed the world, then tried to save it by destroying the world, and then destroys the world, and then the people that he tried to destroy end up somehow. From what I hear, I haven't watched the whole thing. From what I hear, it's like everybody dies or something in the whole world except for, I'm not sure what happens at the end, and I don't want to know until I watch the rest of it, but it's like almost everybody dies. And I think the only solution is you got to go into some sort of, they call it transcendence, which to me just sounds like they go into a computer chip. Doesn't sound like a good future to me. And certainly not what the Bible is telling us is going to happen. I think they want us to believe that the world's coming to an end and you better just worship government. It's your only hope. But of course, we know that Jesus is real. And they don't like that when you start believing that Jesus is real. And they're taking people's minds. Friends, this is real. They're starting to take people's minds and souls. People that know the scriptures backwards and forwards, like Santos Bonacci has now been deceived, and he actually thinks that Jesus never existed. Might as well just spit on Jesus because he didn't ever exist. It's just a story. And they're all mocking and laughing Jesus, calling him Satan. Calling Jesus Satan. I showed clips of that. If you guys think I'm making it up, it's real. And this Daughtry guy calling Jesus a pedophile, and for a minute he says he doesn't exist, and then he's like, no, he's a pedophile. Okay, well, if he didn't exist, then he couldn't have been a pedophile, could he? But anyway, they're pretty interesting, these people. Interesting in the fact that their weak minds just go like that. Oh, flat earth, let's go with that. and these people that believe in the flat earth, and I know a lot of you are going to be so angry and never watch this again, and you get so tired of me saying this, but it's true. If you have fallen for this garbage that people are telling you, like the earth is flat, or that, Jesus didn't exist, or some stupid thing. I know there are people now, that are running around believing that the only true God is actually a woman, and that, somehow or another we're all supposed to worship just women, and women should rule everything. That's kind of like in the movie, The 100. It's, throughout the entire 100 episodes, only women are allowed to rule. And what the irony of it is the fact that for like 75 episodes out of the 100, there's this young girl that's the ruler of everyone. Just a child. But she was so smart, and she's so wonderful. And she could just whoop anybody with her sword, right? She was like a valiant warrior. Come on, make it more believable. At least make sure she's an Amazonian woman, 6 feet tall and got some, But no, this little girl, she's about 5 foot tall, no muscle. She's a brat. But yet, and she's killing everybody, kills her own people and stuff. They don't care. They worship her. That's the way that they want you to believe. This is the way it's got to be. It's like reparations or something. We got to, because men ruled the world for so long, now we're just going to have to follow this little spoiled brat to hell. We deserve it, I guess. And look, I'm not saying that. See, everybody knows that I believe in that our divine being is a trinity. Father and mother and son. And without that balance, see, that's what love is. People just can't understand. No, we got to go with love. Love means unity. Unity with what? Unity with all parties. Both sides, left and right, got to come together in a whole. To work as a whole, they got to come together. They got to, left has to recognize right, and right's going to have to recognize the left, and up's going to have to recognize the down, because they both exist, and they're both important, and they're both equal. Two wrongs don't make a right, but insanity really doesn't make anything right. See, we used to let men rule because they were the stronger of the two, and they could bully their way into power, okay? So Yahweh says, I am God, and there is none else. Why? Because he could. Okay, I get that, and that was wrong. So, yeah, it's been very sad. But on the other hand, it ain't been that great for men either. They're out there. We have to do all the work and, go into battle. And so, yeah, women stayed home, and they were raped and mistreated and beaten. Whereas men had to go out and work in the mines and go to war and fight, and they both got a bad rap. We got to end all of this. The whole universe needs to come together in love. We don't need violence. We just need love. But I'll tell you one thing we really need right now. It's some common sense. We definitely need some common sense. And so when you're watching this trial with Johnny Depp, look into it and look beyond what they're saying and find out what's really going on. Look at all these people coming out of the woodwork. You'll start seeing it. You'll start seeing what they're doing. Same thing with this war. Somebody was saying, Russia's killing everybody. And I thought, well, you know what? First of all, we don't know what they're doing. And anyone who thinks that the media is telling us the truth after 9/11, after this last thing that was going on for about 2 years, and, Fauci, and I won't say anymore. But if anybody at this point, the Iraq war, weapons of mass destruction, okay, if anybody at this point thinks that the media is telling the truth, there's no hope for you. Now, I understand you're still hanging on with the intimidation. You're scared and you're like, oh, I believe in a government because, you don't know what else to do and you haven't woke up yet. But it's time. It's time we wake up. They're lying. So, yeah, I'm sure that Russians are murdering people over there. That's what war is, when you have a war. Now, with America, we don't have to be threatened to have a war. We can go over there and just wipe out a whole country just because, they're trying to undermine the dollar or something, or they said something bad about the president, or something, or we think maybe, our CIA has found out that they're bad guys, but we're not. That's good enough to go over and wipe them out. And people are like, yeah, I'm patriot. Oh, pay me a bunch of money to go over there. And, these people that think they're patriots because they're getting career, they're getting a college education, they're getting a pension the rest of their life as long as they, don't get discharged, from the army. What do they call it? Something discharge or whatever word, they just leave or do something wrong or whatever. As long as they fulfill their obligation, they get all these benefits. And they get good money. And you say, oh, but they're putting their life on the line. Well, if it was really that scary, they probably wouldn't go. Because a little bit of money they're getting, it's not going to be worth their life. They're doing it because it's their career. You can die as a person working on a building, falling off the scaffold. I mean, it's about as risky. People aren't dying in the war, American wars anymore. We just go over there and push buttons and drop bombs. Run around in Jeeps. It's fun. So it's all a big scam. But for us to believe that the United States is right this time, they're committing atrocities. Not us, but they are. I'm sure most of you have heard about the LABs that they found over there, and that doesn't concern you. Remember Chernobyl happened over there? I wonder who caused that. We used to say it was the Russians. Now I think it was maybe the NATO that was messing with them, right? I don't know anything much about that story. I haven't looked into it, but I'm beginning to think that there's a lot more things that we don't know. They've been blaming the Russians on a lot of stuff. Now, look, I'm not a fool either, and I don't think that Putin is a good guy either. He's just some guy, right? But I will tell you this, they're trying to take him out. So, for whatever reason, just like with World War II or World War I, it was real, people died. But the only reason why people die is because they go to war. And they go to war based on the news that says these people are the enemy. Maybe the Russians are being deceived just like we were. But all I know is if you're surprised that people are dying when there's a war over there, you're nuts. I mean, people died in Iraq too. And Bush was guilty of atrocities for sure because he lied. We weren't being threatened by the Iraqi people. But you see, at least with Russia, they've gotten an excuse. I mean, we have done so many terrible things, and we have set up these people that the Russians are calling Nazis over there. And look into it. There's a lot of credible people that are saying it's really true. And that some of these atrocities that are going on over there aren't really happening the way that we're being told. And that's where I'm going to leave it because I'm not allowed to say anymore. Man, we're going to have to wake up. I understand there's a lot of people that are starting to wake up and they realize that, maybe Russia's not the bad guy. But you see, there's where it doesn't matter. You're either on one, mountain of lies, or you'll come down off that mountain and climb up the other mountain of lies. You either start thinking the United States is great and wonderful and our government's true and we're, patriots, or you think, oh no, Russia's the great, hero and Biden's the Antichrist. people can't just stop and go, wait a minute, all of this government stuff is lies from the beginning. They took over Russia, Germany, and the United States, and then every other country since that point, with this financing all sides and news, Project Mockingbird. Every country on the face of the earth is spouting news, and it's the same news. It's the same propaganda. We got to win for humanity's sake, right? We got to destroy everybody for humanity's sake. And we believe them. I want to tell you something. Don't start worshiping Putin. Putin could be a good guy. He might be a nice guy, okay? You can go down the street wherever you live, start knocking on doors and talking to people, find out they're nice people. But they don't have anything in common with you. I mean, there's a nice guy down here selling crack, and this guy down the road over here, he's a senator, and he goes to, he's a nice guy on Sundays, right, with his family. And on camera, he's nice, right? He seems like he's nice, but he's been promoting things that, unbeknownst to himself, he probably doesn't even know. They're clueless. They just give him a little money. Well, we'll buy you a house. We'll give you a line of credit. Just do whatever we say. And they tell him that, hey, what you're doing is saving the world. And they believe it. Because they're so stupid, they believe it. We're saving the world. We're nurses. We're giving everybody the JAB. And it's wonderful. And we're saving the world. By the way, we're making $35 an hour. 4 days on and 4 days off. Okay. Well, you're not a hero. You don't even know what you're doing. The world's going to hell in a handbasket, and everybody just keeps obeying and listening and believing. Oh, the KGB, oh, yay. Now, we don't like the CIA. We figured out that, right? Some of us. And some of us still believing in the CIA, right? But some of us are, oh, okay, I don't believe in the CIA. But I do believe in the KGB, because, Putin's KGB. It just amazes me. And now here comes Trump. And I noticed that somebody was saying the other day that all these people that, even the guy that was talking about the snake venom in the water, he's been on all these other shows like Stu Peters and all these people. We love these people. They're telling the truth. And maybe they are. But in order to tell the truth, it's very odd that they have these individuals on their program like Mikovits. She's all against the thing. Mikovits. I'll be darned. She's from that same Bavaria place. And in fact, she worked her way up so high on the totem pole that she was making the thing. She was making it. She knew how it worked. At some point, she realized, oh no, this is poison, right? Really? Wrote a book, made a bunch of money. They got to have controlled opposition. They've got to put the people that work for them in positions to tell the world some of the bad stuff and then poo-poo it. Releasing the bad information in a controlled way. So they bring out Mikovits to tell the world, hey, don't do it. But did that help? The world still did it. Everybody's got the thing right. They had it all controlled. It's like a controlled burn. You start a fire so that no other fire will start. In other words, you're afraid your ranch could burn down. So what you do is you make a fire around the perimeter and start burning within, and controlled burn that you can control. And once you burn that stuff, now it can't reburn. And while you're gone, one day for the weekend, you come back and your whole place is burned down. This is how they do it. They control the burn. So they know that fire is going to come, could come, and it might wipe them out. And the elite know that the truth's going to get out. And if they don't put the truth out on their own terms, then it's going to get out with somebody else who's going to be more believable, and he's going to be more level-headed, and people will start believing him, and he'll be like a Paul Revere and wake people up. Well, you can't have that, so we just get rid of him. But you couldn't just get rid of him and never let it out, because people would keep coming up and they'd say, oh, they're suppressing the truth. What they do is they say, oh, we're not suppressing the truth. Look at Alex Jones. Well, he's running around telling people the truth. Yeah, but he's running around pounding the desk. And look, and I'm sure Alex Jones is sincere. Many Jehovah's Witnesses are sincere. I was sincere. But we're brainwashed, and we're just we're not completely aware of what's going on. So we're kind of working for our own interests. Not we, but people that do this work for their own interests. So Putin may be working for his own interests, which is against our interests, which is probably better than our interests. I mean, he's probably right. We probably pushed him into this. And hey, it's a war. I'm sure he's killing people over there. I'm sure you've got to when you have a war, right? All I know is he hadn't dropped a nuclear weapon on the whole thing yet. Thank goodness. And, but, they're working for their own interests. And some of them, like, for instance, somebody who's a Christian are going to work on behalf of Christians because that's what they believe in. So if they want somebody for that reason that's a Christian but has a certain twist. Oh, well, I'm a Christian, but I also believe in the devil. Okay, so then you can be the representative of all the Christians. So that everybody that's Christian will say, oh yeah, but I believe in the devil. That's what you do. You get somebody that's a Christian who can present something to the world and make them believe it. So Putin, they said, all right, now Putin, you got to be an Orthodox Christian. Okay? Make the world think, oh, okay, they're nice people too. Why, he's a good man. He's a conservative Christian. He don't like the West and this liberalism and the socialism and the Nazis. So people start believing in him. And Trump is like, well, listen, we tried to impeach him unfairly. We just lied about him for 4 years and made everybody believe that it was unfair. Meanwhile, they started propping up these old senile people like Pelosi and Biden so that we would start thinking, man, these people, these socialists are crazy, man. They're old and senile and they're not trying to promote our own interests. And then we start thinking, oh, so maybe abortion and all these things are just crazy, terrible ideas. Oh, they're the ones that started all these ideas. Chaos, first, till everything falls apart, and then they had the solution. So they created all the chaos, these elite individuals from Bavaria. And they want us to be religious and strict and follow their God, right? But in order to get everybody on page, they've got to make the world so scary and riots and, oh, we're begging for police and riot police and we need more prisons and more laws because there's bad people. And, oh, and please, Trump, come in and sign this Abrahamic covenant and the Noahide laws, please, so we can get rid of all the crime and the riots and all these darn socialists and get rid of Biden. And, we'll bring out the guillotines and behead a few of these people. They're probably just clones or whatever, and they'll go to a little island somewhere with Epstein. But make it look like, he's whooping ass, right? And everybody like, oh, Trump's a great guy, he's doing all this stuff. They set this all up to get you all to believe that you must go back under the covenant and take the mark of the beast on your hand or your forehead, which is what Deuteronomy and Exodus says is the law of Moses, which is written on your hand or your forehead. It's the opposite of the seal of God, which is the Holy Spirit. So you either believe in the Holy Spirit through Jesus Christ and Mother Mary. Yeah, he was born of a virgin. Don't let these liars tell you that Christianity is really Judaism, right? And Jesus is just some guy. That's not Christianity. Jesus was born of a virgin. He was God, emptied himself of God and took on the form of a man. And he died for your sins and he really lived. They're just trying to lie to you. They don't want you to believe in that. So, they're setting this all up. For 4 long, straight years, actually for the last, Bush was remember how Bush couldn't even talk, right? Couldn't string 10 words in a sentence properly. His strategery, and he's the decider and all of these crazy things he would say. And we laughed at him, but most people still say, oh, I still use my president, go to war with Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction that never happened. Colin Powell was caught lying. Why did he do it? Because they used Colin Powell to speak so that people like the African community, remember Bush's Secretary of State was, what was her name? That African-American lady. Anyway, they were just using these people to calm their constituents. Don't worry, we're going to war, but I'm black and I've looked at all the situation, and yeah, there was weapons of mass destruction. Well, he lied to you. But a lot of you still like him, right? Because he came out a week later and said, oh, I didn't know. Bush is like, oh, we didn't know. Really? Maybe they didn't. See, all these people, they don't know. Their sin is not that they are willingly doing evil. It's that they're allowing the evil to be suppressed in their subconscious. They're not aware of it because they don't want to be. Because they'd rather just enjoy the limelight. Oh, I'm the president. And they're patting him on the back. Go to war. Yeah, you're a good boy. And he's like, yeah, I'm a good boy, you know. So they just do what they're told. Putin's probably just being egged on by a certain group of financiers telling him to go to war, right? His KGB's got to be run by somebody. It's not him. He might be one of the top guys, you know, like Elon Musk. They were talking about dueling each other, right? I can't believe Elon Musk has had an affair with this Amber Heard, too, right? Who's this woman being passed around from all the powerful people in the world? Who is this person? Well, she's one of the barbarians. But she must be very, very powerful. Like, you know, remember that girl named Hilton? What was it? Paris Hilton? You thought, well, who in the world is this? She's getting all this television coverage, and she's making her moves and doing down the boardwalk, you know, in her dress, and she's selling her Gucci bags, and she's got all these commercials, and everybody says, oh, she's so beautiful. I don't think she's very beautiful. And why is she getting all this prominence and power? Because she's Hilton, the big billionaire's daughter. And see, when you're the billionaire's daughter, everybody's going to go, you know, oh, she's gorgeous, glamorous, oh, she's wonderful. And then everybody's opinion is like, oh, I want her. Pass her around. We'll all have her. Because we want to be seen with her. And if we do that and make her happy, then her daddy will give us money and financing. It's all a big scam. And then they try to keep these people going. Like, well, now we've got something on you because you did what we said, and we've got it right here. And we could show the people that you were, you know, drunk and you were having an orgy with the underage girls. So they don't say anything. You know, okay. But then always, at some point, truth gets out. Somebody says, I don't care. I'm going to go tell the world, even if they kill me. And he goes out and tells the world, and they're like, oh, quick. Oh, he committed suicide. Oh, and like Vince Foster, right? With a gun, you know, shot himself in the head, back of the head or something. You know what I mean? But he's the lawyer that's got all the stuff on Bill and Hillary Clinton, right? The day they're about to go to court. Now they can't get his witness testimony because he's dead. And they claim he killed himself. It's like Epstein, right? And the world says, oh, well, it's just the way that it works. We'll just keep going on like this and act like it's normal. It's not normal, friends. Don't be hoodwinked. Trump is not your savior. And I'm telling you something right now. They're setting Trump up to take over the world. They're going to put in the Noahide laws. And that is the same as basically the Ten Commandments. And that means that if you worship our Father in heaven and you believe Jesus is the Lord, you'll be beheaded. And the scripture will be fulfilled. Because that's what they're putting into place. Trump is putting that law into place. That everybody's got to conform and follow the God of Abraham. Which they say is Yahweh. But of course, you know, Abraham really followed El. They're lying. But most people have accepted it. Hook, line, and sinker. That Christianity is just the same as Judaism. Even though it's a different covenant. And even though Jesus condemned them. And they condemned him to death. And then they went ahead and systematically, right, the Pharisees sent out Paul, a Pharisee, to go out and murder Christians. But their star pupil, Paul, the Apostle Paul, met Jesus on the road to Damascus. Friends, there's always hope. The Lord's going to make it work out, no matter what these people do. Somebody who's got some integrity is going to wake up and go, oh, man, this isn't right. And then you awaken the sleeping giant. And then Paul, when he found the truth, he was just as zealous for the truth as he had been for the lie. And man, he went out and told the world about Jesus Christ. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go, friends. I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.